welcome back. Namibia will join the rest of the world in celebrating World Press Freedom Day. World Press Freedom Day provides a platform for stakeholders to converge, exchange insight, and deliberate on the pivotal role of a free and independent press in society. This marks the 31st World Press Freedom Day under the theme, A Press for the Planet, Journalism in the Face of the Environmental Crisis. To give us insight on how far Namibia has progressed, I'm now joined by the Director of the Namibia Media Trust, Ms. Zoe Titus. Zoe, good evening and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Nina, and good evening to your viewers as well. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about my favorite topic.
Zoe, right to the heart of tonight's matter, I suppose. Talk to us about how Namibia really has progressed in terms of press freedom over the years.
Nina, I'd rather say that Namibia has been consistent. And has been consistent for a very, very long time in terms of its commitment to press freedom, the fact that there is political will to ensure that the Namibian environment is conducive for the operation of a free and independent press. So I'd say consistency above all else has been a key factor in our situation.
In light of the theme for this year, which is journalism in the face of the environmental crisis, in an effort to tackle environmental challenges, how can journalists and media organizations in Namibia address environmental issues through consensus efforts, Zoe?
Nina, I think at this point in time in our history, when there are these incredible developments around oil and gas and mineral resources, it is of critical importance that the media journalists specifically are well informed about these issues so that they subsequently can inform their audiences as well. That journalists understand what the issues are, the legal frameworks that are involved in environmental management, and ensure that they are producing proactively good quality information to their listeners, viewers, readers, etc.
I think it's almost goes hand in hand when we speak about press freedom. We often tend to as well speak about, the challenges that journalists face. Do you perhaps want to talk to us about, some of the main challenges facing journalists and as well as media organizations in Namibia today?
Nina, I would say that the biggest challenge to the media, not only in Namibia, but the media globally, is that challenge of let's say, financial viability. And the reason for that is because of, the digital transformation and the fact that digital doesn't pay. So, this has affected the business model for the media. And that's why we need more innovation. We need to review business models so that the financial viability is the biggest challenge. But with that challenge comes so many other things, because if a media house is not financially viable, then obviously it cannot invest as much in the training of its journalists, and it cannot offer the salaries that ideally journalists should be receiving. It cannot invest the infrastructure, the technology, and everything that goes along with making a really high producing a really high quality product. That's just, in a nutshell, the major challenge, but there are so many others. Journalists are working under very tough conditions at the moment, and I have to take off my hat to Namibian journalists for staying in there and sticking in there and being committed to bringing the news to Namibians every day.
And as we know, in contemporary and current times, technology plays such a big role in journalism. How can technology, in its ever-evolving nature, both empower and challenge press freedom in Namibia?
Well, technology, it's a tool. It's merely a tool. So it depends on how you harness technology. Yes, I've given you some insight into how technology, for example, now has impacted the financial sustainability of the media. The way people are accessing news and information means that they don't necessarily buy newspapers. And that's part of the technological advancement and evolution. At the same time, journalists can harness that technology also to produce news faster, to produce news in formats that are more accessible to the general public. So, I mean, there are pros and cons to this debate.
Speak to us, Zoe, about international partnerships. In what ways those partnerships and collaborations can further enhance press freedom in Namibia?
Partnerships. I implore organizations to sustain diverse partnerships at all times. We do not operate in a vacuum. Namibia does not operate in a vacuum. At any given time, I think that we can benefit from cross-border journalism. That has boded very well for investigative journalism, because an issue like, environmental degradation, I mean, it is not confined to one geographical area. It is affecting the entire globe. And if we have hordes of journalists working collaboratively across borders, then that can only improve the final product or the news product that the public receives. But these collaborations can extend beyond just news production. Currently, there are many initiatives that facilitate cross-border training, many initiatives that facilitate cross-border, international, regional, local funding initiatives, too many to mention. So, I mean, technology has made the world smaller, and that, again, facilitates relationships and partnerships.
Ms. Titus, speak to us about how the Namibia Media Trust supports and advocates for press freedom in this country, and also perhaps looking ahead, what your key priorities and objectives are in advancing press freedom in the country.
Well, we look at it from two different perspectives. The fact that Namibian journalists and the media in general require a conducive environment in which to operate, in which to be able to conduct their very important public service journalism. So that means that we must have good laws and regulations, regulating media production, media operations in the country. What we do in that respect is we have made various submissions on media policies, on our Communications Act. We were very centrally involved in the development of the recently gazetted Access to Information Law, and we maintain relationships where we are making submissions on ICT policies, on AI regulations, etc., etc. That legal framework is incredibly important. At the same time, we are particularly focused also on the fact that the media effectively offers a service. And that is the service of producing content to enable the general public to participate more knowledgeably in their democracy. And so we invest in a lot of training, training of journalists, but not only training of journalists, but also civil society, organizations, members of the LGBTQI plus community, members and organizations, partners, persons with disabilities. So, I mean, our partnerships, again, are far-ranging, and I think in the view of all of that, we try to ensure impact on different levels.
Just lastly, before I let you go, in the spirit of commemorating World Press Freedom Day tomorrow, are there specific initiatives or campaigns that the Trust will be involved in?
Well, we're collaborating closely with partners in this particular space. We are, I think, on just about every news platform in the country, bringing and banging the drum for press freedom, so to say. But later in the month, we will also be collaborating with the Ministry of Information on some activities. I think not, related to press freedom, but not specifically to World Press Freedom Day, as an ongoing monitoring activity focusing on the elections. But I don't want to say too much about it just yet, because it is still in development. But it is going to be, I think, very, very important monitoring exercise and investment in the well-being of the media and information ecosystem in our country.
Ms. Zoe Titus, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Nina. Great speaking to you.
That was Ms. Zoe Titus, who is the director of the Namibia Media Trust, speaking to us about World Press Freedom Day, which will be commemorated tomorrow. We'll be right back.